Hello everyone, welcome to this week's quantum teaching on dreams and astral travel. Now if you're new here, every week there are quantum teaching videos posted on School of the Ascending on Instagram and of course on my YouTube at Door to Value, or you can just search my name. And the point of these teachings is to help bridge the 3D, the material, the logical, the mind, and the ego with the esoteric, spiritual 5D, okay? So we're taking these concepts that are part of the upper dimensional aspect of creation that has a link with what we are doing here and how we are experiencing life here. And so this was actually channeled to me right when 2024 started through my guides to actually sit down and do these teachings. So every teaching is channeled as well as derived from the experiences that have been done with my clients through healings, through the readings I've done for them, and in my own experience. I do not do any research on these topics, meaning that I discuss what I need to share based on the channeling, the messages that are coming through, which is from a higher state of being. Dimensionally, okay, my spirit guides are archangels primarily, but I do get information from different upper dimensional beings such as Arcturians, Pleiadians, but it's mostly channeled through the saints, right? The archangels, the protectors of the Ark of Heaven. So just ask questions if you have, leave it down below. You can also just DM me. And I want to just mention that if something is of interest to you in these topics, do further research. You know, part of the spiritual journey is we do have to take accountability for what is intriguing our interest and our curiosity and what we feel guided internally within our heart space to learn more about. So dreams and astral travel are interesting because while we can separate the two topics and spend a whole teaching on each, really I was guided to combine the two because they sort of have an interlinkage, especially when we are in our full REM sleep or in our dream state. So, of course, part of being a human on Earth means that we have to get sleep every day, right? We have to allow our bodies the time to rest and rejuvenate. And so with that comes actually falling asleep and sometimes even dreaming. Now, many of you might have dreams that you've recollected since you were a child, maybe good dreams, bad dreams. Maybe they were dreams where you felt like you were living in a whole other world. Maybe they've been repetitive dreams, so dreams you've had more than once before, or dreams that have had similar themes. I'm also hearing maybe some of you guys have had dreams that have served as sort of premonitions before you found out about the real world event that has happened. So dreams is something that every human being will experience. Some people tend not to remember their full recollection of dreams, others do, and that can be largely attributed to multiple factors. On a 3D level, to stress, what we're carrying on in our mind space right before bed, or what we've engaged with throughout the day, what we have carried in our thoughts and our energy throughout the day. But also sometimes if you've induced certain substances, it can kind of almost block out your ability to remember any dreams or astral travel you experienced while you're in the dream state. And now this is something that I need to mention. His dreams have been something that has been studied for so long. And a lot of sleep researchers, sleep scientists who study the brain, neuroscientists as well, they tend to focus on how it is possible for us as human beings to fall asleep and have this otherworldly experience. What happens to the brain whenever we are in a dream state? And they've studied this. You know, if someone has issues with sleep, for example, sleep apnea, they'll often go to like a sleep type of doctor, and they might spend the night with that in that facility to have their brain evaluated. What is the activity that's happening in their brain that they're not able to get enough sleep? Same with folks who might have insomnia, who have difficulty falling asleep. So they might be given certain medications or induces, for lack of a better word, to then force them to go to sleep so then their brain can be studied. They've got a bunch of wires plugged into their head, and so this is something that has been studied for so long. How is it possible that when we are asleep, our soul is still in our body, we're still alive, but we're able to almost consciously travel to another space and place and time, right? How is that possible? And so this is something that's been studied. Obviously, Elon Musk having created the Neuralink, which has already seen its first success recently with a particular volunteer who wanted to have that microchip implanted in their brain, is very interesting. It's like technology to study what is happening in our brain, how such a creation is able to go beyond the limitations of this earthly life, and is proof of the afterlife, proof that there is also more out there. obviously. If those of you guys who are following with this video definitely know that. So dreams is something that we both need in terms of our rest. We tend to enter in the full state, but it's also something that we have to experience, meaning that our soul never sleeps. It's our body, our physical vessels that need to have the rest, but our souls almost consciously go into another place in space and time, regardless if we wake up and remember that dream or not. So when it comes to dreams, right, we have two types of dreams, okay? Sometimes our dreams might make no logical sense at all. It's like you wake up and you're like, why did I just have a dream of a purple cat in the middle of the sky sitting on top of a cow howling like a dog? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why was I just floating in the air in my dream and I look down and I see a bunch of random things happening, like a book of I Spy, right? It's because of two things. So what I mentioned earlier, when it comes to dreams, oftentimes people who don't remember their dreams, it's because they've either induced certain substances or they're carrying certain thoughts in their mind space, right? And so what happens is we have the dreams that are linked to astral, okay? And the dreams that are sort of our brain's way of balancing those thoughts, the conscious, subconscious thoughts that have carried out throughout the day, the conscious and subconscious thoughts. So we have dreams that are linked to astral, which is where we astral travel, which I'll dive more into this video. And then the dreams that are your thoughts, and they're mixed with subconscious and sometimes the conscious, okay? And so those are the kind of the dreams where you might wake up and feel like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what was the meaning of that dream? Like, this was so random. There's no linkage. Now, I do feel guided and encouraged to say that no matter what you believe or what you interpret with those dreams that are more related to the energy, the thoughts, the subconscious that has been carried throughout your brain throughout the day, which tends to be the dreams at the earlier half of your sleep, like right before the REM sleep, right before the full sleep, is those type of dreams, right? And people who tend to get to those type of dream states where it's just random, it's their subconscious thoughts, it has no like really deeper astral travel experience or remembrance when you wake up, those are the people that typically will bounce between stages 1 and 3. Like, before they get into their full REM sleep, they're sort of teetering into that subconscious dream world that their brain is, the mind is ultimately creating, right? And so then they might go back to 1, or they might have to wake up because their alarm went off, right? And so that kind of dream is something that is not a full stage of sleep. The body is not in its full rest mode, but when it tends to get to its full rest mode, that is when, even if it's for 45 minutes, that is enough time in the dream, in the astral world, the true astral world, where we are able to go and do our healings on a soul level, meet with people on a soul level. And so those are the dreams that is linked to astral travel here in this week's teaching. So essentially, how is it possible that we're able to astral project in that sense? How is our consciousness able to do that? So what happens is let's say you're this person that's just like sleeping in your bed, okay? Sorry if that looks a little bit weird. I'm obviously not a good illustrator here. You're sleeping, you're still alive, okay? Your soul is obviously still in your body, but what ends up happening is your consciousness, okay, that is part of your soul, when your body is in rest mode, now has a gateway that is open energetically. Because your body is in full rest, in full relaxation mode, your brain is in its full REM sleep, it's getting to that stage of its full sleep, your consciousness is now able to enter a port, is what I'm hearing. It's like a portal, but it's like a port is the word that's coming through. A doorway that is essentially like the rest of creation, available to us to then enter. And so what happens is the soul is still going to remain in the body, but the consciousness, which is able to be in more than one place at a time, for human beings specifically, for us in this incarnation specifically, while we're asleep. So it won't necessarily be in the same way that like the archangels or the ascended masters like Jesus or Prophet Muhammad are able to be in more than one place at a time. Like, it's not going to be like that while we're awake, but when we're asleep, we tend to have that sort of ability to astral project, astral travel, because our consciousness is now in a state where our body is in full rest mode. It allows us to actually do that. The port and the ability to astral travel has been made available because our physical vessel is in its full rest mode. It's in its full sleep. It's gradually getting to REM sleep, and that's when the gateway is opened for us to actually experience. And it's very difficult to explain because you can't really make it logical. For some people, that port appears to be a UFO ship that has popped up out of nowhere for them, and that's how they remember it. They're going into a UFO, or they're some people have talked about abductions. Others have talked about how they just all of a sudden blink and they're in a whole other reality. Like, it's like they're asleep and then it's like they just blinked once they fall asleep and they're somewhere else, right? And so essentially that's what happens. Scientists, it's going to be hard for them to understand this because it's just a matter of creation that cannot be duplicated or recreated in the physical, right? Yes, if we're in anesthesia and things like that, we might have these certain dreams because, again, our vessel is in full body mode, but that's not due to the anesthesia. That's due to the physical body that's in full rest mode that allows the soul to then consciously astral travel, which if you are in anesthesia anyway, it's highly likely you're not going to even have a dream because you're in anesthesia. Your brain has been knocked out, by this medication. But my point is people who are unconscious, maybe who are in comas or who are asleep, that's kind of like a different discussion, which I can dive into in another video. But essentially, our soul astral travels in a sense. So our consciousness astral travels. So it's like a port that becomes open, and we're then able to enter this sort of dreamscape world where it's indefinable, indescribable, limitless is what I'm hearing. And so essentially, that is when we end up not only coexisting with the ability for our physical vessel to have rest, but also the ability for us to experience other dimensions and other realities. And so many of you guys in the coming months might experience more of this. I'm getting right now more astral travel experiences while you're asleep, more parallel reality experiences where you're getting to meet with people that are in your family or people that you've known throughout your life that you can have conversations with in the astral state to heal. A lot of souls do that. A lot of us who wake up the next morning and we remember who we've seen in our dreams, whether it's people in the past that maybe we were and we're not close with, or people in our family, people that we've just met recently. When we often meet with anyone in astral, in that dream world, it's because there's a discussion that's needing to be had or some type of agreement to, link up and basically discuss something or learn something, receive something. There's always an aspect of you receiving key information, again, even if you don't remember that. And so the purpose of astral travel, which again is hard to make logical in terms of how our consciousness is able to do that, but this is the power of creation, okay? Some things are not made to be extremely logical in the sense of like how can our consciousness do that? It just does, right? It's like, for example, when you think of someone, okay, and then all of a sudden they text or call you, that is an indication of the same energy here, where it's like telepathy in a sense. Your consciousness is telepathically entering a whole new reality once your physical vessel is getting deeper and deeper into the REM cycles of sleep. And so for many of you guys, within like the first hour or so, you have already entered this dream astral world. Some of you guys might be on missions where you are remembering when you wake up that you've done all these crazy things or experienced all these things with people that you know in your waking life, your friends, your soul group. Just, it could be randoms, people that you recognize passing by. And that's often what happens. We often pass by people in astral that we're meant to either heal things with, or we're meant to link up with them, maybe exchange something, receive some type of information that is beneficial to our soul at that time, but it might not be relevant for us to remember per se in full capacity when we wake up. And so there's a lot of mysteries to astral travel in the dream world. I do feel like I might make a part 2 on this because obviously I'm limited to 15 minutes to make sure that this fits Instagram's time limit here. But I do want to say, please let me know what questions you have around this. It is a very interesting concept. Each and every one of us will experience more of this reality come to life for us, meaning that we're going to wake up and remember more of our dreams because of the messages that are coming through. I'm hearing from the galactics, okay, from the ethereal, that are going to help us in our 3D life with what's going to materialize in the 3D world in the coming months, okay, which what we're seeing right now happening in the world, all this revelation is coming to light. And so we need to be prepared for that. And so we are going to be protected in astral. Always make sure, before you fall asleep, that you recite a prayer or some type of invocation of protection to make sure that you are protected, and you are. I want to send you guys so much love and light. Let me know if you want a part 2, which I might make one for you guys next week. Until next time, go and grow.